Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Soccer in 60. The West is won. Decision day has come, and sadly, Angel City is out, but we are here to recap it all and preview the next week of Los Angeles soccer. I'm Nina Kiefer, and joining me today is my friend and grieving Mets fan, Christian Philly Philemon.
Geez, you chose violence. I need a therapy now that you've tapped into my NLCS PTSD. So jealous. Tim's actually in my old hometown of New York City. But I guess it's not the worst thing to be stuck doing a podcast with my sister from another mister.
That's right. We're very excited to be joining you here on KMET. That's right. We're live on 1490 AM, 98.1 FM in much of the Inland Empire. You can also catch us on Empire Strykers Instagram and YouTube, on demand, and Empire Strykers YouTube, and on all major podcast platforms. Just search Soccer in 60 and you'll find us chatting here. We got a lot of fun going on today. Lots of stuff happening in LA, and I'm not just talking about the Dodgers beating your Mets. This is a soccer show.
Yeah. A lot going on. I mean, there's that. The Lakers are in town. USC's playing on Friday. David Gilmour into it. Stay the hell off of the highways tomorrow.
But you know what? Let's dive right in. Let's get into some LAFC fun. Philly, what do we got going on?
Yeah, fair enough. Decision day in MLS. Who comes out? The best in the West. Prior to this day, you see, it was LAFC below the Galaxy. Final day would determine both their fates, courtesy of a late PK extending stoppage time wait. Let's recap this day as the moment grows old and recognize the fact that the top of the West belongs to the black and gold. And that was the newly branded segment, Rhymes with Felonious Monk. Thank you. Now, LAFC taking on the San Jose Earthquakes on decision day. Very important because the fate of the West would be determined. If the LA Galaxy just merely tied or won, they would win the West. LAFC would need to win, and they would need the Galaxy to lose, and they would need that by a goal differential because of several different reasons. The fact that the Galaxy would win in the total number of wins, the goal differential, and the goals for, if it ever came down to it, the fourth tiebreaker, believe it or not, is fewest disciplinary points per match. And we had a lot of naughty boys this season. Not too sure we would have won that way. But yes, again, San Jose, the team that already clinched the Wooden Spoon, the award for the worst team in Major League Soccer, going on the road to take on LAFC. All the smart money would be on the fact that LAFC would win this, because not only are San Jose one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer, one of the worst teams on the road with a 2-12-2 record. Let's get into it. It was a beautiful scene from BMO Stadium. However, 9 minutes into the game, bad ball movement, terrible and lazy passing from LAFC led to a careless turnover that created a threatening opportunity for the Earthquakes. Timothy Tillman couldn't quite get to it as the through ball came through. Paul Marie kicks it on over to San Jose's Jackson Yule, and Maxime Chenot, back from Luxembourg, just couldn't do anything to get in it. The play was already built up. Jackson Yule gets his first goal of the regular season, and at a poor time for LAFC. Now, as far as the rest of the half would be concerned, look, there isn't too much to talk about from an offensive perspective. 45 minutes would take place. LAFC would not have a shot on goal whatsoever, which is wild. We start the second half, and like I mentioned, the eye-popping stat that LAFC did not have a shot on goal in the first half. But stand by, because they would have a club record 11 shots at the conclusion of the second half. And that would be a tied for the second most of any club this season. We go on to the 64th minute. Denny Bowanga, Denny the Destroyer, Denny the Incredible, Denny the current, not anymore, but the Golden Boot reigning champ. He would not get the Golden Boot, the number of goals he would need to catch DC United's Christian Benteke, but Denny would get his 20th regular season goal in the second consecutive season. We are tied. Timothy Tillman goes into the box. Rodriguez from San Jose sets up the perfect assist for Denny Barat. Pardon me, I'm so verklempt. I'm mumbling here. Rodriguez sets up the perfect dime for Denny, but the problem is Rodriguez is not part of LAFC. He's part of the Earthquakes. Ball gets right back to Denny the Destroyer, and to quote the great Adam West Batman series of the 60s, a biff, pow, boom, and bam, LAFC scores. Denny now joins Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Joseph Martinez, and David Villa as being the only players in Major League Soccer to have 2 consecutive 20-goal seasons. An incredible effort. Again, Denny is not going to win the Golden Boot, but to have 20 goals in a season, amazing. We fast forward 9 minutes later, Edward Atuesta gets one, and LAFC gets their second of the game. Edward hits Kai Kamara, back over to Edward Atuesta. From outside the box, he fires one goal, and nothing that San Jose's keeper Daniel can do, although he does appear to get a hand on it. Who cares? Ball kisses the back of the net. It is now 2-1 LAFC. So coming from behind, we'll talk how this impacted the play with the Galaxy Houston game. But we move on into the 88th minute and a huge moment of the match for LAFC. Christian Espinosa, the talisman of San Jose, feeds Mr. Sparkling Water himself, Amal Pellegrino, but Hugo Lloris makes the biggest save of the game, possibly of the season, and the save that saves the West. No question about it, a massive save. A lesser keeper would not have made that save. That really prevented a draw. We have 5 minutes of stoppage. Can LAFC find a way to score one more, needing at least a +2 goal differential in this game versus what the Galaxy would do against Houston? More on that later. We get into stoppage time. Sergi Palencia tracks a foul on Carlos Gruezo, which sets up a free kick. And in the 90th +1, Edward Atuesta gets the... It was just a thing of beauty. Edward Atuesta set up a goal by Marlon. Marlon comes in as center back, brand new into the season, really coming in for the replacement minutes of Jesus David Murillo. And Marlon, center of the box, gets one for the header right by Daniel. LAFC ends up winning the game. And stat that won't appear on the stat line, that's very important, Aaron Long's cramp. Why does that matter? It was the cramp that saved the West. Aaron Long's contribution is vital. And not something that you would count, but had he not gotten the cramp, we wouldn't have seen the substitution in the 80th minute by Marlon. As a result of that, Marlon comes in and scores a goal. Probably kept Carlos Vela on the bench too, but we won't go there. As a result, LAFC wins on home soil. We're going to talk about what the Galaxy did, but there it is. LAFC did what they needed to do, which was win the game. So we'll talk about playoffs and all that stuff momentarily, but LAFC ends the season 11-2-4 at home. Top seed, well, all right, kind of spoiler alert. Top seed in the Western Conference, third time in the club's 7 seasons of play. We'll explain why later. LAFC ends up finishing off the regular season with a 5-game winning streak and 6 in all competitions as a result of the U.S. Open Cup final. And going into the playoffs, LAFC, 46 games in 2024. That is a lot of goals. Now, I got to ask you something really quickly, Nina. Can you clearly hear me?
I can hear you. We got a little crackle, but I can hear you for sure. And, I'm very interested. We're kind of teasing and giving it away a little bit. There is the Galaxy segment yet to come, but MLS Cup playoff format. As we look ahead to the future for these teams and for the MLS, we know regular season is over, but let's talk about this playoff format because this is the second year that MLS is trying this home away home best of 3 series for the initial round.
Yeah, so overall, 18 teams would qualify for the Audi MLS Cup. The top 9 from the East and the top 9 from the West. Seeds 1 through 7 in each conference automatically qualify for the round of 1 best of 3 series. Seeds 8 and 9 in each conference would qualify for the wild card. In the case of the West, it would come down to Vancouver and Portland. The winner of that game would take on the number 1 seed on Sunday. more on that later. But yeah, we had wild card matches on Tuesday and Wednesday. Atlanta United is now going to be Inter Miami's sacrificial lamb, and an absolute butt kicking by Vancouver on Portland. A wild game because Vancouver actually had home field advantage, but they had to go to Portland, a very intimidating place for any team to go to have their home game. And surprising to all of us, absolutely decimated the Portland Timbers by a score of 5-0. That sets us up now for round one of a best-of-3 series, starting from October the 25th, going through Sunday, November the 10th. Both LA teams are going to be competing this weekend, and more on that later. Conference semifinals going to be Saturday, November 23rd, up till Sunday, November 24th. The conference final, November 30th through December the 1st, and the final is going to be on the Saturday of December the 7th. This MLS season is just so long, but they're looking to make some changes to it, possibly putting us on par with the rest of the clubs all throughout Europe. But I mean, I've kind of spoiled it. LAFC did clinch the West. And the reason being is because of the Galaxy's performance, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But what an unbelievable atmosphere. It was just crazy. To think LAFC went down as early as they did to a team as bad as the San Jose Earthquakes would have been a gut punch. But they not only held on, they came back, they tied, they went ahead, and then they needed to take care of business. Not exactly sure what Steve Cherundolo would have communicated to the boys, whether or not they knew that they needed to win by the two at the same point, but it happened anyway. So just the final things I want to say is Kai Kamara got credited with the assist on Atuesta's goal, his 6th of the season. That's tied for 4th most on the team. Marlon would get his 1st goal, and that's amazing. I do have a preview we can bring up, but in a way it's kind of spoiling and killing your thing. I'll tell you this, fine, whatever. They're playing the Vancouver Whitecaps for the 2700th time of the season. And that's not even an exaggeration. It's going to be, I think, the 9th time these two teams have competed against each other. The first game is going to be at BMO Stadium on Sunday. They play the following week on Saturday at BC Place. And if the need is there, they will play a few short days afterwards. Again, it is a best of 3. If LAFC wins at home and wins on the road, they advance to the next round. If they split, there's going to be a game 3. And that means that you and I are going to be charged for another game, Nina. Ouchie.
Yes, absolutely. It's an exciting thing, though, to be charged for more games when your team is in playoffs, but only if it's not that best of 3. I'm not a big fan of the best of 3 thing, and, we can debate that all day long. I like the fact that they give everyone a home and away, but quite honestly, I feel like it's almost excessive.
Especially when you have to pay another, I don't know, like $600 for these. But anyway, that concludes the Felonious Monk segment and the LAFC preview and recap. So why don't we talk about the other side of the 110? The Galaxy's performance against the Houston Dynamo had huge impact on LAFC and the Galaxy, and who would move on in the playoffs at what seed?
Absolutely. But before we get into that, I want to encourage everyone, stick around. In 25 minutes or so, we're going to be talking to Dunbar, who's an LA Galaxy youth and player for Orange County Soccer Club. So make sure you're with us in about 25 minutes for that interview. But let's get into this. We've already talked a lot about how the West was won, but Galaxy's game had a huge impact on that. So Galaxy ended up actually losing on Saturday to Houston in the last minutes. And we had the world watching, or at least the West watching. Philly hinted at this nail biter, but let's get into the recap. LA Galaxy were defeated 2-1 on the road by Houston Dynamo, and they ended up finishing their campaign in 2nd place in the Western Conference standings. The Galaxy trailed 1-0 at halftime after Houston opened the scoring in the 44th minute. Hector Herrera's free kick from the right channel dropped into the 6-yard box where Ezekiel Ponce stabs home the opening goal with his right foot. The Galaxy eventually equalized in the 6th minute of second half stoppage time when Gabriel Peck converted a penalty kick that found Houston's Steve Clark diving in the opposite direction. Just an insane moment right there. When you're already at the end of the game, you're away, you're on the road, emotions are high, energy is high. You think you're winning the West with this goal. You think you're doing all the things right. And I can't imagine how exciting that goal must have felt, especially being in stoppage time. Alas, as everyone looked on, stoppage time because of the PK review got extended a little bit extra. And Daniel Steres headed home the game-winning goal for Dynamo in the 11th minute of stoppage time for Houston to win 2-1. That win, that 2-1 win, gave Galaxy a loss. And with LAFC's goal differential, Galaxy got bumped from that first place crown that they had held on to so tightly. Philly, do you want to chime in here on this one?
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, there was 7 minutes worth of stoppage, but obviously they had to go out there and factor in the foul on Artur in the box, which led to Gabriel Peck's 16th goal of the season. And so that extends stoppage time. And then Indiana Hoosier alum, I had to throw that out there because that's my alma mater. Griffin Dorsey with the glorious past former Galaxy defender Daniel Steres, who grew up right down the road from Philomonster Studios here in Burbank, California. The goal was exquisite. John McCarthy, I was probably as shocked as all the supporters for the LA Galaxy. For Houston to do what they did in the last minute was wild. They had a tremendous season. For the Galaxy, an unfortunate set of circumstances for them because they were on the top of the West for so long, riding a nice wave of momentum, several players scoring in double-digit figures this season. The entry of Marco Reus into the lineup. This was a team that was destined to turn things around, but just to fall late in the manner that they did and just having to look up at their rivals again. Look, Galaxy, since the inception of LAFC, has only finished top of the table, higher in the table than them back in the 2021 season. That's it. Every other season has been dominated by LAFC. So an unfortunate set of circumstances for the Galaxy, but an unbelievable opportunity for LAFC.
Absolutely. And you know that Galaxy game ending just 5 to 10 minutes after the LAFC final whistle. So definitely had all fans tuning in just to see. I'm sure players were on their phones watching to see how the other game occurred. But let's move forward. It is playoffs time in the MLS. We are ready to go. No more wooden spoons. We are ready. It is set. And with that, I feel like everything changes. Momentum in playoffs is so much different. And even if you have a great head-to-head, even if you have the record or the better team, playoffs change everything. So let's talk about this Galaxy Colorado matchup. So Galaxy are going to face off in their best of 3 round against the number 7 ranked Colorado Rapids this Saturday at 8 p.m. They'll be hosting originally at Dignity Health Sports Park before they have to fly to the Mile High Stadium out in Colorado. And then if needed, back to Carson for another match. So Galaxy in the past have defeated Rapids 3-1 in their most recent matchup, and another game on October 2nd in Colorado. This is going to feature a 14, 7, and 13 head-to-head right now. So 14 wins for the Galaxy, 13 wins for Colorado, and 7 ties. Galaxy are unbeaten in their last 7 home games, and unfortunately, Colorado have actually lost their last 4 matches. So I don't know how great it's looking for this Colorado Rapids team, but like I said, playoffs, anything can happen. And when you're tuning into that game, what I'm going to be looking for, and the style that Colorado is most known for, is a vertical game. They're going to try and advance the ball, not playing it very wide. They're going to be a little more compact. They're also very possession-based. And in their last game, Galaxy had 53% possession. So I look to see that number increase a little bit more potentially on the Colorado side. I think Galaxy are going to allow Colorado to have that ball. They're going to sit back and they're going to play a waiting game and almost bank on that counterattack. I also anticipate Galaxy trying to pull their players wide. So I'm going to see a little more of that shift at midfield out to the sidelines in order for that ball to get crossed in, hoping to catch those Colorado players out of position in order for Galaxy to capitalize on that. And we know Galaxy has the team to be able to capitalize in that sense. So here's how we're going to do it. Play it wide, play it up, catch them out of position, bank on the transition, bank on those turnovers. And as we've covered before in our best 11, when we've looked at some of these Galaxy players also, they're really good at pressing up top. And I think when you talk about a heavy press game, that pressure up top is what's going to separate you from the other team. So I would not be surprised if we saw a 3-0 or 4-0 game here. I'm not going to lie. I think Galaxy are coming out swinging.
I mean, there's no reason why anybody should doubt them. They have the mental edge, having beaten the Rapids in 4 out of their last 5. And if you look at how the Rapids finished off the regular season, they hadn't won a game. They hadn't won a game since September 21st when they beat Toronto FC. They went on a 4-game losing streak to end the season. That's not a good run of form, but they do have a couple of really good players in that Rafael Navarro, who is the team leader with goals with 15. They have Georgi Mihailovic, who leads the team in assists and second on the team in scoring, and then Cole Bassett. These 3 are on top of the Rapid statistical categories for pretty much everything. So if the Galaxy could contain these 3, they have a good shot. But I don't think the altitude adjustment, I don't think whatever the Rapids are going to throw at the Galaxy is going to matter much. I think this is going to be an easy match for them. I don't see a game 3 coming through. So that's going to set the stage relatively easy for them to take on the winner of RSL and Minnesota United.
Absolutely. And as we talk about this MLS segment and as it comes to a conclusion, I want to bring up one big question that I've always had. So in the NWSL, on the women's side of this, they set the championship game. They know where it's going to be hosted, and they intentionally pick places without turf. They want real grass. Now here in MLS Cup playoffs, we know that the winner of the person with the most points at the end is going to host the MLS Cup. Is there something to be said for the way the NWSL is doing this as opposed to the way the MLS is doing it, where they are guaranteeing a nice stadium?
I mean, look, turf is turf, and that's obviously, it could be chaotic on the knees. But ultimately, something should be said for a team that finishes tops of the season. As it stands right now, Inter Miami's got home field advantage throughout the entire thing. And then it would belong to the Columbus Crew, then the LAFC, and then to the LA Galaxy. I don't see the MLS Cup final being anywhere else. And that's exciting for the home supporters because, look, MLS did try setting a neutral ground back in the day, but that was back during MLS 1.0. So they wouldn't necessarily get the stadiums filled in some cases. I mean, you get some of the bases that are around there that don't travel as well as some of the others that might be problematic. But if you have the team set up to win at home and you fought all season long for home field advantage, I feel like you should be rewarded on that. Obviously, it's a killer because we don't know what the story is going to be, when and where, and then you might have to deal with the potential conflict of a scheduling thing. But I like it. To the winner goes the spoils. So home field should belong to either Inter Fort Lauderdale or the Crew or any of the LA teams.
Absolutely. And with that, I think there also needs to be a push for real grass. You know, this is a professional league. This is, you know, a high caliber game. And why do we still have turf that causes so many injuries for so many of our players? At some point, shouldn't we make it a league requirement that you have grass on your pitch?
I mean, a lot of these players, in particular the ones that played collegiately here in the United States, a lot of them are used to turf. Now, that's not an excuse as to why to keep it in the professional stage, but I've always found it comical how you would have turf in places like Portland and Seattle where it rains more often than it doesn't. So, I mean, there is that. Grass is the way this game was played, invented, created, perfected, whatever the case may be. We should make it. We should always have it on grass, Bermuda grass or whatever kind of grass you can get. I get it's expensive, more so than having turf, but man, for lack of a better term, turf sucks.
Absolutely. Brackets are set. Make sure you check out MLS.com, get a bracket, fill it out, see if you beat us. Let's see who's going to win the whole thing. We're not just playing for the West and the East now. We're playing for the Cup. We've won the West. LAFC took it, but the playoffs have just started. So will Galaxy come out on top? I think it's anybody's game at this point. Make sure you fill out your bracket. Tag us if you post your bracket Soccer and 60 on Instagram. We would be super excited to see who you think is winning it all and where your predictions fall. And with that, let's head over to Strikers in the MASL.
Yeah, the Empire Strykers have once again made another signing, the busiest team in the Major Arena Soccer League as far as player signings are concerned. I think anytime like you go to the interwebs, there's always a press release regarding somebody that the Strikers signed. In this case, it's 25-year-old Antonio Della Torre. They signed him through the 2025-2026 season, having spent the last year with the Kansas City Comets, the runners-up in the Ron Newman Cup, losing to the two-time champion Chihuahua Savage. Now, Della Torre selected by the Kansas City Comets in the second round of the 2023 MASL Pro Player Combine that took place in upstate New York, in Utica. and he ended up seeing the turf about 6 times over the course of his entire top flight campaign. I stole those words from our PR department at the Empire Strikers. So
Great
shout
PR
out to
department.
Hunter, who also happens to be the producer on the show. But that's a nice segue right there, because we talked about Combine. De La Torre got picked up in the Combine. Well, the MASL Combine is going to take place on October the 26th through the 29th. And that's going to be at the Front Wave Credit Union Arena down in Oceanside, California. Starts on Saturday. It'll end on Tuesday. Yours truly is going to be part of the MASL draft announcements. But that's not the only thing going on. There's going to be a game, the very first indoor game at Front Wave. Nina, why don't you talk about that real quick?
Absolutely. USA versus Mexico men's teams are going to take each other on Saturday, the 27th at 6 p.m. at Front Wave Arena. And Empire Striker fans, you can look forward to a couple names there. We got Meat. Meat will be playing. Stinson will be playing. They're taking on Ponce and Gomez. Super exciting to see Strikers represented once again for both the USA and Mexico sides of this matchup. It's going to be very exciting. I think it's very cool to see another exceptional event and to have the Combine also at this time, because you're going to see players who are striving to be like these players, to be like on the same team as these guys that are being called up. So very cool to have those kind of a yin and yang moment where the people at the start of their career, the people at the like epitome of their careers, all in the same place.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'll be at the Combine on Saturday for a good portion of the day and part of Sunday. And then the doctor, Jonathan Reimer, and I will be heading down over to UCR to call the game. And then I'm back in Oceanside on Tuesday for the draft. That's going to be great. USA taking on Mexico. And speaking of Mexico, Nina, I came across an article written by Dennis Pope regarding the Strikers' newly signed forward and MASL's league MVP, Genaro Castillo. And it was in regards to the ongoing visa issues plaguing not only the Major Arena Soccer League, but the USL. P1 visa issues, we might not see Castillo here in the Empire.
It's such a tragedy to me. And for those who are unfamiliar with the article, essentially MASL is having a lot of their player visas denied because in order to play in the United States, they need to demonstrate exceptional ability. It needs to be a professional league of, exceptional status and things like that. And there's a lot of technicalities and legalities to this, but essentially we're not able to bring over the league MVP because either one, he's not good enough, or two, the MASL is not regarded in a high enough stance. And to me, this is just not right. How are we supposed to advance a soccer program for the United States soccer? This is Major Arena Soccer League. It is a major sports professional endeavor. So I don't understand how we're running into so many visa issues here.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not just us. Like USL has been having an issue with this as well. MLS is the only entity that seems to not be having a problem with it. But, Castillo not only has an indoor career, but look, he played at Tigres, Liga MX Tigres. A lot of those players that were on that roster that ended up moving on to the United States didn't have these P1 visa issues. So this is just a crazy, crazy thing brought on by these stringent immigration policies or whatnot that we hope get fixed and repealed, because they are denying the opportunity for some really talented players, not just from Mexico, but Brazil and all over the world. Football Rapido is a big thing down in South America. Obviously, a lot of players with some futsal skills. For us to be denied the opportunity to get these kids out of their countries and into the United States playing for the best level of indoor soccer is a travesty, an absolute travesty. And hope everybody at U.S. Immigration or whatever can get their heads out of their rear ends and make this happen for us, because this will be a growing league and you will have helped contribute to it. Right now, you are deterring it. So, to immigration.
Absolutely. To me, it just screams ignorance. It's like you don't actually understand or appreciate U.S. soccer. And this is what's stopping the U.S. from advancing. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I'm sorry, we need to bring the best talent over here, and we need to be playing and training alongside them in order to grow as a league. But we have one more big MASL thing to cover, and that's a couple of quick rule changes. Philly, you want to give us a little lowdown on that?
Oh, geez, I've got a minute to cover 7 rule changes. This might be something that we're going to have to tackle on the next podcast, but a lot of changes that are going to really help the flow of the game, similar to what MLS did in terms of like players being injured. If they're on the turf, one of the big rules is if they're on the turf for longer than a 15-second period, I believe they're going to have to be removed and can't hit back out off the pines, off the bench for like another 2 minutes. there's just so much more to talk about. I don't have the time to go on to it, but a lot of rule changes that are going to help the gameplay and the fast flow movement of this. But yes, we'll cover this more in depth next week. I will be sure to talk about all 7 rules.
Absolutely. And until then, let's move to some Angel City fun, or lack of fun, as it may be, unfortunately, for
you had fun. Everybody in Founders Club had fun.
Yeah. Well, we watched the Mets lose that night, so it was fun for all the Dodger fans. All right. Unfortunately, going into the match, Angel City had already been eliminated from playoffs. LAFC won their match the day before, so we came into what one could describe almost as a pointless match. There were obviously points that could be assigned, but mathematically, both Utah Royals and Angel City entered the match not able to make playoffs. So this was, though, fan appreciation, and the team still put on a good show for us, so let's get into it. Angel City drew 1-1 against the Utah Royals for the final home match of the season, following goals by Royals midfielder Claudia Zaragoza and one by forward Sydney Leroux. Leroux is on fire. Sorry, I just had to. I'm trying to get a chuckle out of Philly, and he's just super focused. In the 21st minute.
That's a dad joke, Nina. It's a dad joke.
I have to. All right. In the 21st minute, the Royals opened the scoring after being awarded a free kick just outside the 18. Midfielder Claudia Zaragoza stepped up to the plate and sent the ball curling inside the near post past Herachich to the back of the net. The two teams traded a handful of chances over the remainder of the first half, but few of them for either side were quality opportunities, and the half ended with 1-0. Angel City equalized in the 57th minute after a corner kick by Zalem fell to defender Giselle Thompson, who, for those who are unfamiliar, is the younger sister, but the middle of the 3 Thompson sisters, who juggled the ball to keep it airborne and sent a header to forward Sydney Leroux inside the 18-yard box. Leroux received the ball with her chest before volleying it into the back of the net. Just clinical. Leroux practiced this at home with her son. If you don't follow her on Instagram, highly recommend. She is training her son how to do these like one-touch, super awesome, like quick shots on goal. And I swear to God, this boy is going to be everything. He's maybe 7, 8 years old, and he's already working on his bicycle kick. I love to see it, but you can see that Leroux is really just doing these things for fun now, and she's definitely playing her best life. Angel City, in usual form, though, pushed and fought until the end, but final whistle hit, and we had a tie 1-1. The thing I really want to highlight from this matchup, 14 shots for Angel City, 4 on target. 21 shots for the Utah Royals with 10 on target. Didi Herachich put on a show that night. She's always performed in front of La Fortaleza, but oh my goodness, did she do it more than ever with some incredible diving saves. And I've talked to players before, and they say keepers who are out of position are making diving saves. If you are in position, the saves don't look as good. And I want to say for Didi in this game, I don't feel like that rings true. Didi truly had moments where she was truly in position, but she knew she could get it. And Didi is never shy about putting her body in the way. And I do wonder, though, if she is nursing an injury, because for the 3rd or 4th home game in a row, we saw Didi having to take time. We saw her needing the referee to blow the whistle and to pause so she could get medical attention. And I'm really hoping that she's doing all right. We do have the offseason coming, but before that, Angel City does have one final game. We talked about turf. We've already talked about turf. Turf in Portland. I don't know if we'll see Didi play in this game. I think that might have actually been her last game of the season, but Angel City is going Friday, November 1st, 7 p.m. in Portland. That match is going to stream live on Prime Video. And as I think about Portland in the final match, I want to really emphasize the fact that the Thorns are in 7th place. They're in it. They've made playoffs. They're sailing at this point in my mind. So are they going to put on a true show here, or are we going to see subs? Are they going to be resting? Are they going to try things to set themselves up also for the future and for their next matchup? I think possible. That said, they've also scored 5 goals in their last 5 matches. They're averaging a goal a game. Sophia Smith has created a ton of big chances for her, and I expect her to do the same. She's got at least 2.5 shots on target per match. So I think Sophia Smith, probably a sub at this point. You want to keep that momentum going, but I don't know if we're going to see her starting because they're going to want to save her legs. Like I said, this is a match that doesn't necessarily matter. This is probably Portland Thorns. Thank you game for their fans. Now, who I'm expecting a lot from, I don't think our Angel City is going to give up. I think we're going to want to go and they're going to want to show up and show out. And I'm expecting goals from Claire Emsley, from Alyssa Thompson, and from Sydney LaRue. I'm going 1-1-1. I think each of them is going to have a final goal for the season, and I'm excited to see it. So when we look at the head-to-head, Portland and Angel City, 3-3-3. 3 wins, 3 draws for each team. So here we go. Does this game actually matter? Yes, because Portland Thorns are a high-ranked, well-known team. So Angel City is going to want to take it to them. We've got Moultrie, who I talked about previously, who is a child prodigy who's going to be starting up top for them. And then you've got Christine Sinclair, the veteran, down in the middle. So a lot of this play is going to be coming up and down the middle towards our goal. Now, who is between those pipes? I'm not really sure, but we know who's going to be on our back line. I'm looking for Sarah Gordon. I'm looking at Madison Hammond. I love the two of them. Their combo in the middle, I think that it's a dynamic piece that really gets underrated. And the center backs' communication with their center defensive mid is essential in order to make sure that plays get stopped. And within that, also Madison Hammond up to Giselle Thompson. That's a really good link up. And if you've got Claire Emsley on the other side, I think you're looking for several goals scored. Now, the cool thing is when we watch Alyssa, and I challenge every listener here, watch Alyssa closely, because every 15 minutes or so, she switches sides. She tries to keep people on their toes. And Angel City is a team that is going to be able to push, and they're going to push to the last second. So even though we know these points don't matter, Angel City is not going to stop. They're going to go for goal the whole time. And Portland Thorns, they could climb. So right now they're sitting with 31 points. They're sitting in 7th place, but Chicago Red Stars only have 32. So it's possible for them to jump up into that number 6 spot. I'm just saying, I think that there could be some challenges here. The biggest concern, I think, is going to be potential injury and making sure that they avoid anything like that. Now, the other players that I'm looking at for this game, when I look at Portland Thorns, I'm looking at Meg Linehan and I'm looking at Becky Sauerbrunn. Sauerbrunn is a great center back, and I think she's going to hold it down. I think she's going to be a lot of what is pushing forward and what's allowing the Thorns to feel comfortable on their back line. So let's see what happens with this game. I think we're looking at an 3-2 Angel City. That's my prediction. I think Portland could come out and prove us wrong, but it really just depends on how much they're going to be resting some of their star players for the future and how much they want to push to get to that number 6 position. The difference really only becomes whether they face off against Washington Spirit or New York, New Jersey, Gotham for that next moment.
You said it was Fan Appreciation Day at BMO Stadium. We got a postcard. We got postcards with the team on it. I think we should write back and go playoffs 2025, please, question mark. And
oh my goodness. I mean, so you bring up a good point. The San Diego Wave gave out jerseys for their fan appreciation match. And unfortunately, Angel City gave out postcards. Now, I did think it was a really cute postcard. I really liked it.
But where do we have to send it somewhere?
It wasn't even stamped. No.
Oh, but the jersey was pretty cool that the Wave sent. I will admit that.
It's a drastic difference for fan appreciation, a jersey versus a postcard.
Well, there you go. Like I said, we can send it right back. 2025 postseason, please, question mark. Boom. I think that's what we need to do.
All right. So let's get into Orange County Soccer Club. Philly, what do we got?
Well, we got a special guest on the show here today, and we're just waiting for him to come on into the room. Orange County clinched themselves a playoff spot, and there he is. There he is. Our guest today just celebrated turning 22 years old 2 days ago. An attacker with Orange County Soccer Club of the USL Championship. Born and raised in Greater Los Angeles, he honed his skills with the LA Galaxy, coming up through the club's youth academy before spending time with both the reserves and the first team between 2020 and 2022. While with another MLS side, Minnesota United, 2023, he went on a loan to Orange County and finally made the move permanent prior to the current season. He also represented the U.S. at the U17 level, and we are so thrilled to have with us today OCSC's Cameron Dunbar. Cameron, happy birthday. Welcome to Soccer in 60.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And that was a great introduction. I didn't know you were going to go into that much detail, but thank you guys.
Of course, you're a superstar. We want to let everybody that listens to our show know this. Now, Cameron, you're from Carson, California, which means you grew up a stone's throw from the LA Galaxy's home venue. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and youth. What was it like in the Dunbar household? Did you go to Galaxy games? And how did you experience that crazy period when David Beckham joined the team?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my childhood was, I have two younger brothers as well, so it was pretty always playing some sort of sport. House was always, filled with some sort of ball, some sort of game going on. And I was actually kind of grew up in like the Gardena area, so not really Carson, but Gardena, around right there is where I was born. And the Galaxy was that was the first ever professional soccer game that I'd ever gone to. So that's a memory that I'll have forever. And then to be able to say that I ended up playing there is just, it's crazy. It's crazy when I think about it. But yeah, just growing up in Southern California and playing soccer. I mean, I started playing Little League baseball and other flag football sports, but it was nothing. I didn't get the same feeling that I did of playing soccer, and it's just been like that ever since. I still love the game, and it's what I love to do each and every day.
We love the game too. I mean, and your talents kept you home. You did spend a little bit of time with Minnesota United, but look, you're back with Orange County. The move reunites you with Ethan Zubak. You guys played for the Galaxy's first team in 2021 and 2020. Did you feel that you two benefited from having somewhat of a shared background? Like, how would you describe your relationship on and off the field with Ethan Zubak?
Yeah, it's definitely good. Going back to when I was, 14, 15, he was a guy that I looked up to because he went through the academy. I remember watching him score goals in the academy playoffs and thinking, this guy's the real deal. He still scores goals here. So, that's what he does. But, I remember watching him play when I was younger. And then, we've been able to play on the same team and be around the same spaces for some time now. So, it's great. We have a good connection. On away trips, we're always roommates. So, it's pretty cool, being able to play the game that you love with guys that you grew up around and, that you've seen since you were just starting to, get close to the professional game.
Absolutely. That connection cannot be understated in its importance, but I don't want to switch too much to the negative, but this season for Orange County has been a lot of things, but definitely not boring. Noteworthy things were the fact that you guys are now on your third head coach after Morten Carlson was transferred back to Denmark and Paul Hardiman was let go nearly 2 months ago. And as if that wasn't enough, you've had to compensate for a ton of injuries. What's it been like being a player dealing with those constant disruptions?
Yeah, I think if you ask anyone on our team, nobody expected the year and season to unfold the way it has, but that's how it is. It can be like that in professional sports. And what's been really great to see is that we've been so resilient. They say it's not how you start, but how you finish. And the guys have just come together and really put something that we can be proud of. And each time we step on the field, something to fight for and fight for each other. And since day one, we've all wanted to be a good team and be a hard team to play against and have good performances, but some things, it can be up and down. Morten left early in the season, and that kind of throws a wrench into how we're playing with another coach coming in and having to adapt to a new style and a new system. It's challenging, and when you have 5-6 games to try and get it going, it can be tough. But with Danny coming in the last month and a half, we've been able to kind of put pieces together and find the a rhythm and find, our routine that's putting us in good positions in games and getting us good results. And, we just want to keep it going as far as we can. Keep putting together results and just keep growing, because that's the biggest thing. Keep improving each week and we'll be great.
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that rhythm that you speak of, because in Paul Hardiman's last game in charge, you guys kind of hit the low point of the season with the 6-0 loss at Charleston. Then in Danny Stone's first game as interim head coach, you lost to Las Vegas after being up 2-0. After that, though, a couple weeks off, you really turned things around, and now you're unbeaten in 7 and winning 4 of those. What do you think has made the difference? Is it the coach, or did you guys do anything out of the ordinary during your break? I'd love to get your thoughts.
Like I was saying, Danny's really kind of given us a good structure and a good method to follow throughout the week, and really just kind of instilled the basics that we needed and at that low point. Because it's really easy to just kind of roll over and just accept what's happening. But yeah, as soon as he came in, that wasn't part of his plan at all. He saw the quality that we had in the team and the abilities that we have, and he's been able to unlock kind of what we needed. So it's really just kind of things have clicked, which it's great that they have at the time, at this point in the season, because we needed it. But he's got the guys, got everyone really motivated and committed to fighting for the team and just giving your best effort, whether it be in training and then ultimately in the game.
You just touched on this. Like, in a league that decides its champion via playoff system, peaking at the right time is a massive advantage. Now, obviously, you guys are storming into the playoffs. Now, how much of an advantage would you say that is? Are you sensing a belief among the staff and your fellow players that you could go very deep this postseason?
Really, we're just trying to take it 1 week at a time, one training session at a time, one game at a time, and just focus on, what's right in front of us. And that this week it's Hartford, and we want to go out and put together another strong performance against them. And like I was saying, just improve the things that we want to work on from last game. And really, that's the recipe for success, is just to keep climbing, keep working, and then the results will come. And that's really what's been kind of the main focus for us since Danny's come in charge.
Absolutely. And so you've played under some big time coaches and alongside some established players. What do you think's impacted you the most?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I've had a lot of different styles of coaching, different coaches throughout my time as a professional. Obviously at the Galaxy with Guillermo Barros-Quilotto, he was the one who gave me my debut and kind of introduced me into the professional game. So I'm always grateful to him and thankful for what I learned under that staff, and what I was able to learn under a lot of South American players there. And then also as well with Greg Vanny at the Galaxy, playing in his system and his style really opened my eyes to a different perspective in the game and a lens that I'd never really seen before, which from a tactical point of view has really helped me grow as a player, and kind of just the way that I see the game and just watch regular matches now. So those two have really helped me grow a lot.
You had some great coaching, Cameron. Look, we'd love to ask you a bunch of other questions, but we know you got some better things to do. You got another game to prepare for. And heck, you just turned 22 a couple of days ago. So I'm sure there's some type of celebration in your horizon. But, it was a pleasure chatting with you. Good luck the rest of the season, and hope to see a really deep run for OCSC this postseason.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys again for having me.
Of course. We'll see you soon.
See you guys soon.
Cameron Dunbar, ladies and gentlemen, that was an awful fun interview. Got to see a lot of this young man, and he performed so well with Orange County. He should have had that header against New Mexico United. I wanted him to get that so bad. But that being the case, we should probably recap that OCSC hosting New Mexico United in a very important game. New Mexico is a team that was on top of the West. What's on the line? A 6-game unbeaten streak that goes back to August the 31st, where OCSC lost to the Las Vegas Lights, a game that you referenced. OCSC taking on the top team in the conference in the 8th all-time meeting between both clubs. Of course, they would be without talisman Brian Olaski, as he's gone for the rest of the season due to injury. Thomas Among and Kyle Scott questionable as well. And so there wasn't much offense in this game, so no spoiler alert for you there, but this game would end 0-0, but it certainly had its fair share of moments. 12th minute, Ashish Chata would have the first real attempt from 20 yards out, but New Mexico's Alice Tambakis would end up with the save, an easy one at that. Chris Hagard in the 18th minute would have another attempt, which actually was quite devastating. It was a beautiful volley that came off of a set piece. Hagard would ninja kick style it, but it would end up not being on target. And at this point, OCSC and New Mexico would just take jabs at each other, but nothing really threatening. But as we head toward the half, the notice of stoppage time would pop out and shut out Colin Shuttler shields Orange County Soccer Club from an attempt by New Mexico's Greg Hurst in the box. Hurst would have what we would think was the nail in the coffin for OCSC late in the game. He would end up getting called offside, and as Greg Hurst saw red, the officials thought to show him yellow because he immediately got carded for some dissent after he was beyond irate that he didn't get the credit for that goal, which could have put New Mexico United up on top. But the game's going to end 0-0. OCSC officially clinches a playoff spot. Not bad for a team that looked dead in the water back in August. The unbeaten streak extends itself to 7. No question, one of the hottest teams in the USL. Colin Shuttler, 12th clean sheet of the season, and OCSC is going to be taking on Eastern Conference opponent Hartford Athletic in their next game. Hartford Athletic coming off of a 2-2 draw against the Tampa Bay Rowdies with something to play. It's Fan Appreciation Night at the Champ. Tix remains. Oktober Fest still going on. Cheer on your Orange County Soccer Club over at the Champ. And that concludes your OCSC segment.
And with that, this week's Best 11 might be our most dynamic yet. Our LA team seems to either shine defensively or offensively. Let's take a look, starting with in goal, Didi Herachich, Angel City. Defenders, Dylan Powers, Orange County, Ryan Dogman, Orange County, and Giselle Thompson, Angel City. Midfielders, we want to look at Lewis O'Brien, LAFC, Edward Atuesta, LAFC, Sergi Palencia, LAFC, and Ricky Pooch, LA Galaxy. Forwards, Denny Bwanga, LAFC, and our captain this week, and Matty Bogush from LAFC, and of course, Gabriel Peck from LA Galaxy. For the team honors, let's start with OCSC center back Dylan Powers with an impressive 95% pass accuracy and 4 passes into the final third. Powers was the epitome of the attack starts in the back. Just as important for a center back are clearances, and Powers earned 3 this match, helping keep their opponents scoreless. And while not scoreless, Didi Herachich is our honoree from Angel City. Herachich had 5 diving saves and a total of 9 saves in the final home game of the season for ACFC. And while neither team found themselves vying for a playoff spot, Herachich put on a show for La Fortaleza, who have stood behind her all season. Next up from LA Galaxy, we honor Gabriel Peck. Peck had the equalizing goal with the PK and stoppage time, and Galaxy fought hard through the final whistle. Peck earned a 75% accuracy on long balls, which is essential for creating scoring opportunities. Lastly, the captain this week, Denny Bwanga. As LAFC won the West this match, we have to recognize Bwanga, who with his 8 shots accounted for 30% of the total shots for LAFC. In addition to opening the scoring, Bwanga had 7 recoveries, helping to keep the black and gold on the offensive side of the ball. Philly, what do you think about this week's honorees?
I mean, look, the last couple of weeks, I've had my beef with some omissions. David Martinez, I'm good with this one. Didi Herachich deserved it. Obviously, Giselle Thompson deserved it. Gabriel Peck with a 16th goal of the season deserved it. Lewis O'Brien, who's starting to get some love in this LA's Best 11, has been such a great contribution to LAFC this entire season, just making the midfield far more dynamic, aggressive, and fast. And then Denis, the destroyer, getting his 20th goal of the season. Of course, You would have to give him the captain's armband. We already mentioned that he's an elite company. Not that many players in the history of Major League Soccer have had 2 consecutive seasons of scoring 20 plus. If you missed that part, Denny's among Zlatan Ibrahimovic, David Villa, and Joseph Martinez, an illustrious company. So I'm good with this LA's best 11. No problem. We should, what we should also do is throw in a coach for the LA best 11. Obviously, we only have a handful of them, but if there is that, you got to give it to OCSC's coach for the season and the turnaround that's occurred. You called him Stoney. I don't know what was on your mind at that time. Coach Stone, OCSC, he would get my nod for coach of the week just because of the amazing season that OCSC had. And, of course, them tying the number 1 team in the conference, clinching a playoff spot. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely a very exciting moment for them. And I truly agree with you. I think OCSC would win the coach's honors, maybe not just for this game, maybe for the season with how he's turned it around for them. And I was thinking Casey Stoney, San Diego Wave. You got to shout out the women sometimes. But as we
that's what I do.
As we prepare to wrap, I want to remind you that we are live on 1490 AM, 98.1 FM in much of the Inland Empire on the KMET app or KMET 1490am.com, Empire Strykers, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you search us Soccer in 60 Philly. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. It's a joy having you on this pod. Tim's in New York. We'll be seeing him soon. I love chatting with my sister from another mister, but we need some decor, Nina. It looks like we're in a hospital waiting room behind you. We got all these colors, all these scarves. You need to decorate, my friend. I know you just moved in, but give us some color.
I will work on it. I will work on a tree, a scarf thingy. I don't even know, but you're right. I need to do something with this. It's a little sad in the background for me, but it's been fun hanging out with you too, Philly. I love you, and it's been great being here on Soccer in 60. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely.